Welcome to the postcard-worthy paradise of Montreux. This town sits right on Lake Geneva in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, and it's full of spots that'll make you say, I'm gonna need more time here than I originally thought.
Now, I'm sure you've heard about some of these popular tourist spots we're about to mention, but we're also gonna sprinkle in some hidden gems as well. So grab your hat, your sunglasses, and your camera, and let's get started with an unexpected spot. Because we love showing you places that are not on everyone's itinerary, but totally should be.
You've probably heard of Chateau du Chillon, right? Of course you have. But have you heard of the Fort du Chillon? It's a secret military fortress tucked right beside the castle, hidden in plain sight as one of the Swiss Army's best-kept secrets. If you're familiar with European history, then you know how many people were puzzled that Germany did not invade Switzerland during World War II. We're not here to solve that question, but Fort du Chillon shows you how well prepared Switzerland would have been if that had ever happened. This bunker was built in 1941 and utilized until 1995, where it strategically defended Lake Geneva and the route to the Swiss Alps from both ground and air attacks. It wasn't declassified until 2001, and this museum didn't open until 2020. You can explore more than 20 rooms across various levels, like living quarters and the ammunition depot, and rooms with cannons. The interactive exhibits are super fun and really help you gain a feel for what it was like to live here as a soldier.
If you're looking for things to do in Montreux, Chateau du Chillon is probably the #1 thing you will see recommended. In fact, I read that it is the most popular historical building visited in Switzerland. It's a medieval castle from the 1100s that has a fascinating history. But if we haven't met, we're Jana and Brett, Aplins in the Alps, and we help you travel Switzerland with confidence. We first came here to Montreux on our honeymoon in 2012, and we have been back at least 5 times since. And now that we're formally introduced, let's head inside so we can show you this cool castle. Chillon is built on a small oval island, so it's surrounded by a natural moat. It looks like one castle from the outside, but it's actually a complex of 25 buildings and 3 courtyards. In fact, the waterfront side is built for defense with arrow slits and ramparts, but the opposite side is dubbed as the princely residence with fancy windows and living chambers. And in between are the courtyards, treasure room, and keep. Throughout its history, Chillon was owned by the courts of Savoy, the Bernese bailiffs, and currently the Swiss canton of Vaud. At one point, it was also a defensive fortress, a weapons storage facility, and even a state prison. And apparently, the castle in The Little Mermaid was inspired by Chillon too.
Since Chateau du Chillon is on the waterfront, let's talk about the Montreux Promenade next. In Latin, Montreux translates to rocky promontory, which makes sense when you see all of the rocks lining the water. This promenade technically extends along 13 kilometers of the shoreline from Vevey to Chillon, and most of it is lined with flowers, sculptures, and colorful gardens. We're not going to walk the whole thing today since we have other things to see in Montreux, but it's great for a morning run. In fact, I ran the entire promenade from Villeneuve to Vevey the last time we were here.
If you're into classic rock music, make sure your walk along the promenade includes a stop at the Queen Studio Experience. It's housed in the casino where the band recorded 6 albums in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Brett's favorite part is the control room, which has not changed at all since Queen worked here, and where you can make your own mixes of Queen's classic songs. But if nothing else, at least snap a selfie with the iconic Freddie Mercury statue that proudly overlooks Lake Geneva.
Another spot worth stopping at along the promenade is the Montreux Palace Garden. This 2.5-acre green space was originally designed as a calm retreat space for guests at the opulent Fairmont Montreux Palace Hotel. But now the lawn is sprinkled with statues of famous jazz musicians such as Ella Fitzgerald, Ray Charles, and Carlos Santana. And during the Montreux Jazz Festival, this garden hosts free concerts in the park.
And speaking of music, Montreux is also famous for its world-class jazz festival, which is actually one of the biggest cultural events in Switzerland. Every summer since 1967, more than 250,000 people flock to the city for hundreds of concerts. So if you find yourself here in July, you might be able to enjoy some live jazz music by the lake.
But if you're not here during that time, you can still sway to some blues at Funky Claude's Bar in the Fairmont Hotel. They have live music in the evenings and are known for their signature Smoke on the Water cocktail. Yes, that's right. The famous song by Deep Purple was written in Montreux about a fire that broke out during a concert, and none other than Funky Claude himself helped people escape to safety. Next door is the Montreux Jazz Cafe, a splurge-worthy restaurant for a special meal or fancy dessert with jazzified names and the ambiance of the annual music festival.
Montreux is more than just castles and concerts, although it does both of those really well. Another reason people flock here is for the Christmas market, which happen right here on the promenade. Of course, there are magical lights, hundreds of cozy market stalls, and incredible food. But Montreux is most famous for its flying Santa. He makes his appearance in the sky and waves to the crowds every evening. Montreux's Christmas market usually goes from late November through Christmas Eve, making it one of the longest running markets in Switzerland. So if you find yourself here during that time of year, be sure to add Montreux to your itinerary.
Before we talk about the next few activities, we wanted to quickly mention the Montreux Riviera card, which you'll receive if you stay overnight in Montreux or one of the nearby towns. It provides free local transport, reduced prices at more than a dozen museums, and a discount on lake cruises and mountain railways, including a handful of spots on this list. Now, if you have our travel guide to Montreux and the Swiss Riviera, we've already included all of the relevant details you need to know about the Riviera card, so be sure to check that out after finishing this video.
For a view above the city, hop on the Glion-Terité funicular, which is one of the oldest in Switzerland. A steep 8-minute, 600-meter ride takes you to an impressive viewpoint overlooking Lake Geneva and Chateau de Chillon and even the Alps in the distance.
In fact, you can get off midway at the Collonges station to enjoy the Rose Trail to Montreux Old Town. We enjoy the luscious gardens, towering palm trees, elusive homes, and never-ending vistas. The walk leads towards St. Vincent Temple, a 15th century church with a relaxing terrace, and then wind down the charming streets of Old Town Montreux.
But that same Glion-Terité funicular also pairs perfectly with the ride up to Rochers-de-Naye, since you can hop on board the cogwheel train from either Montreux or Glion. After a 45-minute ride, you're about 2,000 meters high with sweeping views of the Eiger in the Swiss Alps, Mont Blanc in the French Alps, and Lake Geneva below. After you snap plenty of pictures of the views, you can enjoy the free L'Homme Rambertier flower garden with more than 1,000 species, take a hike, or dine in one of the 2 mountain restaurants here. And if you happen to be up here at Christmas, you can come here to meet Santa too.
If you're not up for going so high, try the Les Avants Saint-Loup funicular instead. Since 1910, it's brought passengers up to the charming village of Saint-Loup, where you can enjoy scenic strolls through the meadows, which are filled with narcissus flowers in the spring.
Gorges are my favorite landscape, so of course we had to add the Gorge du Chauderon to our list. The trail starts in Les Avants near the funicular, where you descend into the forest. For the next 5 kilometers and about an hour and a half, you walk past gushing streams and flowing waterfalls as the gorge gradually narrows and then dumps you out right in Montreux Old Town. This hike was closed for 2 years for renovations to make the footpath safer, and now it's a stunning place to leave the hustle and bustle of the Riviera behind for a hobbit-like dream world.
And one of the best things to do in Montreux is to ride a boat on Lake Geneva, or as the locals call it, Lac Léman, or Genfersee, or Lago Lemano, or Lago di Ginevra, depending on their language, but we'll just stick with Lake Geneva. This is Switzerland's largest lake, and whether you choose the classic steamboat, a dinner cruise, or a sightseeing tour, you'll glide past vineyards, castles, and charming villages. Boats depart from lots of towns and villages along the lake, and some routes even cross into France.
So far, we've only talked about what you can do right here in Montreux. But what else should you do on your trip to the Swiss Riviera? Find out by watching this next, or be sure to check out our Montreux and Swiss Riviera travel guide, and we'll see you in Switzerland.